Dimp Digital Presents Idle Game Chat.
Hello, Apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is the weekly video games podcast where we give our impressions of the games that you can play today and react to the latest news from the wonderful world of games. We're here every Monday on your favourite podcast app and on YouTube, absolutely free. This week, I'm joined once again by the three-time Dimp Digital Gaming Quiz champion. It's Tom Adkins, not Adcock. How's it going?
Doesn't get any easier in that.
I've tried to soften the blow by just sort of, three-time champion, given the numerical.
I suppose it's good, but it's like when you see them people on Sky Sports and it's like their greatest achievement and it's like played for Swaffham 15 times.
Semi-final runner-up in 92 and 96. What's he doing on the fucking panel board? Yeah. Well, the only way to put that right is to rectify it in next year's quiz.
Yeah.
Going after him.
Started already.
Started training, which is the way to do it.
Training. Yeah.
We've got some games to talk about. Two whoppers. Now, we've covered one of them in quite great detail in its opening weekend. It's Cyberpunk 2077. And I think we've done some light touch Assassin's Creed Valhalla impressions after I'd played about 30 hours. I'm now done with that. You're now done with Cyberpunk. So together that will make up the bulk of this episode. I want to lead with Valhalla if possible.
Alphabetically.
Well, there we go. We're absolutely going to take that as the excuse. I don't know how you want to do this. I don't know if you've got any questions that you've got just in your head, because you've kind of played it and stopped for Cyberpunk, and then I guess at some point you're going to go back, or if you want to just let me babble and then chime in, it's entirely up to you.
I reckon do your babble, and then I'll chime in with a few questions.
Okay, right, let me get my bubbly. I was drinking Bucks Fizz all day. Glass, run out of orange juice.
What is that one I sent you? Is that just a normal Bucks Fizz, or was that like a mixture one?
What did you send me?
On Christmas Day. I sent you a bottle of... and you texted back saying pre-mix. Oh, yes, it was, yeah. So is it a... So what's like? What do I got? What did I get?
It's just a pre-mixed Bucks Fizz. So I wasn't, Bucks Fizz itself is a little bit. You just chip orange juice and prosecco. That's
what I thought it was. Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't really have it much. It's only it's a tradition in the Adkins household that you have it on Christmas Day, and I've never really known what it was. Yes. Just got sent on my merry way to get some and then drink it and got it. And then I thought, I'm drinking that. I'll show you a bottle.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the pre-mix stuff's all right, actually. It's like you get those... You used to be able to get like Jack Daniels and Coke pre-mixed in a can.
Oh, yeah.
So, but if you want to do it at home, just do 2 parts champers, or most people do prosecco these days because it's like cheap piss up stuff, which is actually quite nice. And then a bit of orange juice, splash that in there. Got yourself a Bucks Fizz. Some people might call it a mimosa. Don't know the difference if there is one. Again, if there are alcoholics that know the exact difference, let us know in the comments. I'm going to talk about Valhalla. I'm going to plug Patreon first. Still on patreon.com/idle game chat, and you can chuck some pennies. Actually, you can't chuck pennies our way. You have to do at least £1, I think, or $1. So
what's $1 in English, though, isn't it?
Well, it is pennies, so I don't know how they keep emailing me telling me we can change it to UK. I need to get on top of all that. If we're ever gonna get out of this debt we're in, I need to start looking at that Patreon and getting it sorted. But you can help out by going there and chucking pennies, I guess, into the pot, and then we'll get taxed on it, and we'll get about 20p. So make sure it's sizable, is what I'm saying. Don't waste your time otherwise. Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Cool.
Played every game of this Creed franchise, mainline, other than Rogue, because that was the
Do
year.
you know, I nearly picked that up the other day.
I think I've got it on Games with Gold. I swear.
Have you? Well, yeah. Oh, they did a remaster, didn't they? And
Yes.
it was £6, and I've got a £4 voucher. So I was going to get it for £2. And I was like, cool, because I like the concept of it, but it's the only one I never played.
Yeah, and to be fair to it, like the series, I've been a bit up and down throughout it. It's been good. It's been pretty poor at times. I think it's been like pretty awful actually. Thinking about things like Unity, which I did not enjoy. And then about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, we got this change in direction with Origins, didn't we?
Yeah.
They kept quoting saying, right, we want to have a look at this Witcher 3 and try and get it towards that.
Yeah.
And when you hear that level of bollocks being spouted, you think on your bike, you're not going to get close to it. And I think it needed to be freshened up, and Origins was certainly that. It wasn't perfect. I still had some problems with it. And then Odyssey was... I felt like it could have been really good, but the bloat and the level gating... got up my fucking nose. So at this point, I'm thinking, Valhalla, what are they going to do with that? And in general, reasonably impressed. I've played over 100 hours. I think I'm on 110 hours now. And we shouldn't mistake hours played for, it's the best game that I've ever played, because it's just not the case. But it's a very easy play. And I think I mentioned it on the last one we did, that the setting is now becoming increasingly important for me in these Creed games. We had 2 Dust Bowls back to back. So I was bloody struggling with that. And we go to England, and the setting's better in my view. I much prefer the setting, and it's a Viking game at heart, and that kind of got me on side. That got me where I needed to be, I guess, mentally to accept this game and go for it. It's a big game, as you can tell. Giant, enormous. There is so much to do in this game, and so many places to see, so many different fucking side bits to do, clear down stuff if you want. It's all there. So that's how the 110 hours have been clocked up. But also, I haven't fast travelled once yet. I would not recommend. You could shave 30 hours off.
I don't know.
By just fast travelling. The reason I haven't been doing it is because 2 things. One, the travelling in Assassin's Creed since Origins has been, I feel, almost best in class, because you can set a pointer on your map, hold X, and the horse will follow the track to your pointer. So you haven't even got to control the horse. You can just put your controller down, have a drink, relax. That's what I was doing. And in Valhalla, you've got a raiding longboat that can go around the rivers and stuff and get you around. So I was just plonking that on, putting a tune on, having my feet up and enjoying the scenery. So that bloody helped. That stopped the old the fast travelling being used. But the way the story kind of is integrated to the quests, and I guess the overall structure of the game, because I've mentioned there's loads of side stuff which I'll get to, but putting all that, casting all that stuff aside, there's still a very big saga, a very big campaign for you to go out in.
I think this might be the biggest, or certainly longest campaign they've ever done. Having not completed it myself, but just looking at lengthwise and from what people's opinions I've heard, but yeah,
giant fucking enormous. And
ginormous.
I mean, they kick things off with the worst prologue possible. 3 to 5 hours of toot. I was putting my Series X on, and I was like, what have I done here?
Get to England?
No, he didn't. Hand on heart, I can't blame him, because honestly, I don't know what that prologue is. I don't know what it is about. I don't know if it's just the terrain. I don't know if it's just... It's just something about that was just really dull and shit. And when you get to England, it cracks open. and you get all these other bits and pieces to do, and you're it's clear that what your level is, what zones you should perhaps go to compared to not going to. Everything's a bit more streamlined, and it makes a bit more sense. Now, the way the game essentially works is you arrive in England, and your main task is to ally with all the different regions or territories. Sometimes they're counties, sometimes they're towns, but all the different sort of power players in England. Okay, so you'll come in there, you want to be allies of all of them so you can get a piece of the pie and, be, I guess, not quite a leader of England, but an influencing figure. Now, each of these territories that you can go and ally with have their own fleshed out story arc. Some are excellent, some are good, and then a small number of them are probably not interesting. But this is the real meat of the game, doing this. Like, you will go to the Alliance map, which is the screen that shows all the different territories. You'll, select a territory. You'll get a little debrief about what's going on, and then you'll say, right, I want to pledge my alliance to go and help out that area. And there's all sorts going on during those arcs. There are combat-heavy ones, so there might be a war going on, so you're going to do a lot of combat. There are diplomatic stories. There are some weird stories. And there's a blend of everything in between. So, you might go to one area where it's purely about getting the next person onto the throne, and you might have an influence over who that could be. There's over a dozen of these to play through. They are usually 5 chapters long, 5 quests-ish long, which often the quest will have multiple parts to it, and can take anywhere between 2 to 5 hours. So that's where I feel like you're picking up on the meat of the game. The time being spent is going through these alliances, and that's where you will progress sort of the other parts of the story that are there. As good as these were, I think that's a really interesting way of doing it. It was quite clear, quite concise, and it was simple to follow. I feel like they would have been better off halving the amount of territories you had to visit and people you had to interact with, and then maybe you go through the first wave of doing, 8 territories, and then that kicks off the next part of the campaign where you go back to those places and see how they're doing, and maybe there's a new problem. Maybe the person that you put on the throne in the first sort of act of the story isn't doing what you thought they might do, and there's a conflict there. And like you could dive deeper, is what I'm saying, into all these different areas, get to know the characters, get to know what's going on, and have a bit more of a compelling experience. Because in most cases, you sort of go in, you do what you need to do, and then you leave, and then you might bump into them later, or you can go back and visit them and they'll say like a one-liner to you. So from that perspective, it's good, but also could do with some improvement. Combat-wise, once I got the Ghost of Tsushima button mapping out of my head, I could finally enjoy the combat, going back to using those triggers. It's not the deepest, but I felt like it was still satisfying. Like the crunch as you slam an axe into some Saxon's head is good. The finishes are brutal but fantastic at the same time, and the array of weapons that you can use also change things up. You can get long Dane axes, smaller sort of bearded axes. The mace is just a fucking devastator once you get that thing swinging. Like, it really does change the way you play. But those 2 aspects alone are pretty good in my view. I'm going to take a quick pause and see if you have anything to ask before I go into my next area of Valhalla.
Did you find that you sided with one weapon throughout more than anything, or was you switching it up and going for sort of axe and shield, or just sort of spear for the majority, or was you going with because one thing we'll get to in Cyberpunk is in that system I sort of just went with whatever was like the highest weapon you could go for.
Yeah. Was
that the case with this?
No. So this sort of links into the next point was going to be around like how the gear works. Right. And I touched on it previously. Each weapon you pick up and each piece of armor you pick up is unique. Like it has its own look, it has its own level of stats, and usually there might be some recycled, but it has its own kind of perk as well that comes with it. And they all, as I said, there's about 5 different categories of weapons that you can use, plus 3 different types of bows. But because they're unique and because it changes your stats quite heavily, I was switching in between just to try things out.
Right.
It's not necessary, and this is the thing about the gear. It's such a better change from Odyssey, because Odyssey was just you kill someone and get 3 helmets off them. And you're in that menu breaking it down or selling it. You're just at the mercy of RNG, whether you get something that's better than your current level. There's nothing random about this. Everything is handcrafted for one. Everything's hand placed in the world for you to go off and find. So collecting gear sets is great. It encouraged me to try different weapons, because you didn't pick up a weapon that was 20 levels below you. It doesn't work like that. It kind of had its own base stats, which was in and around what you needed, and you could upgrade it and to a certain perspective, but you didn't have to worry about it being an old bit of gear. You could almost use it anyway, because there wasn't like a big gap between them. So I used all the weapons, all the different types of weapons. I at least had one run through of them. I made 3 different gear sets for the different armor categories. So you've got Raven, Wolf, and Bear, and they all have different perks associated if you wear all 5 of their bits of armor. So I was mixing and matching, finding what I liked and what I didn't like, and then as time went on, the back half I kind of settled on like one gear set and changed the weapons out and upgraded those pieces as I went through.
Interesting. No, I think we want to hear some more about gear.
Yeah, it gives you a real attachment because you can essentially, if you wanted, you could take the first axe you get and keep it the whole game.
Cool.
And you're not going to be punished for it. You don't have to keep fucking infusing other weapons towards it, but you can become attached to it and keep it. And people give you stuff throughout the campaign as well. So that's quite cool. You'll get someone's old axe or something, or old spear, and you'll be like, oh, that was so-and-so's axe. I want to use that. I want to level that up. And you can level it up with just like random resources, or you can put like carbon ingots into it, or tungsten ones, and upgrade its like type. So it goes from like flawless to mythical and things like that, like bronze, silver, gold, basically. And you can do all that. So if you want to form an attachment, you can, but if you want to go the other way and try things out, you're never really going to feel like you're that disadvantaged, because the disparity in the gear isn't level based. It's not. No. It's at level 20, so it's a level 20 item. It's these are the stats, and you can keep it relevant throughout your whole playthrough. So I think it's a really positive change, because as much as Odyssey was great because you just sell all the gear and get a load of money, you didn't really care what you had. You just looked at the number and went, well, I'll use that next. Yeah. And this was not the case. It added something new to it for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely the way most of these games should go. Certainly in the RPG element. Talk to me about these gear sets that you're on a merry way collecting.
Well, there's tons of them. There's just tons of gear sets. I mean,
was it like on Witcher where you had?
Yes.
Remember, you used to have like the sets there.
Yeah.
You'd fucking hunt and you'd have to get a complete set.
That's it. So each set each piece of armor you get, if you wear all the different types of that armor set, you'll get a unique buff or perk towards it. So I was looking for like one called like Huntsman gear for ages, and it will tell you in the inventory where you can find them. So it might say, oh, the Huntsman cloak is in Essex, the braces, pants, torso can all be found in London. And then from there, it won't tell you where they are. It won't mark them, but you know where to search, and you can start hunting things out. So I started doing that to find one of each. I wanted one wolf, one raven, one bear. That was what I got to in the end. And yeah, the look changes, so you get a new look if you don't like what's going on with Ava's look, and the perks change as well. Like the Berserker, for example, or the bear armor, much more adept at melee combat, so you get a lot of like buffs on that side of things. Yeah, It's cool, and it's kind of like, as well as this massive saga I just explained about the 12, or well, it's more than 12, over a dozen story arcs to go and complete.
Yeah.
I fell down this fucking rabbit hole for, it could have been 10 hours or so I spent getting gear,
Cool.
leveling it up, loving life.
That is the way to do it. What's that modern day to playing at? Is it required? People were saying get rid of it. It ain't worth it anymore. What's your tip or without?
I mean, it ain't got to be there in my view, personally. I know roughly what's going on, but there's still a lot that happens that you think, what? So the good thing is, I guess in this one, is it's not overly intrusive.
Right.
Like it won't. I remember on previous games, probably more of Origins, every 4 or 5 hours I was getting stopped to go and have a wander around the fucking temple. It's not the case in this. Like when you get to England, it stops you once, and then that'll be it till you get like to the end of the game, pretty much. Like so it will not force you to come out of the Animus until you've completed your task or got to a certain point in the story. So you ain't got to worry about it too much. That's not to say there isn't an overarching theme of that weeds its way kind of into the main narrative, but it's less egregious than it has been in other games, I think, personally.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear, because a lot of people are sort of, look, cut the shit. We love these Assassin's Creed games for what they are, not this fucking drawn out backstory shit that no one cares about anymore.
People love it, though. I suppose
I suppose there is deep lore involved.
Some sick
inside.
Puppies out there.
Eivor as a character.
Yep.
Is he the new Ezio?
Well, I play as the female version.
What's he called?
Eivor.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, was it all Eivor?
Yeah,
Unisex name. Because I went full male. I went sexist pig.
Yeah.
You went dynamic.
I went let Animus choose for me, and that's actually quite a good approach if you don't mind playing as a female Eivor. It makes total sense as and when the switches happen. I won't spoil exactly what it is, but you haven't got to worry about you just like getting to the next story arc. It's suddenly going, well, hang on, why is the bloke Eivor walking around in the settlement? It doesn't work like that. It's quite a good way of doing it. I just chose that because I was like, if that's the canon, I'll choose it. Although on all the trailers it's male Eivor, so I'm like, right, what are they doing? Send him up the fucking river here, old Ubisoft. But yeah, no, I mean, Eivor's is a good character. I mean, you have a lot more influence, I guess, over the character than you do with Ezio.
Of course.
You've got lot of choices and stuff. It will cause death and things like you. There are consequences to what your actions, what actions you carry out. So I think she's a good. She is a good portrait or a good platform to build off and kind of make your own. There's clearly some bits of Eivor that are ingrained into them as to how they perceive the world, and that those things will be present in the way the story progresses and who you talk to, and you can kind of see changes happening, but you've still got enough of an influence over where to go and how to direct things, which is cool. I wouldn't say quite Ezio's level, but it's hard to compete with a character that's been written from the ground up, and obviously Ezio's just the man anyway, so he's going to be hard to be bumped off.
No. Did you get sunk into, like on Witcher, you spent many an hour playing that fucking Gwent? Was there anything in the side activities that took you by the bullards?
Yes, there was. There is a dice rolling game that I got. Absolutely, I've done them all. I've collected all the little bits I'm supposed to fucking collect. Orlog, it's called.
Orlog.
It's gonna be hard for me to describe what it is, but essentially you roll dice, you get three rounds to roll, and then they've all got different symbols on them. So they might have a bow and arrow, or a sword, or an axe rather, or it might have a helmet or a shield, a and once you've settled on your 3 rounds, it'll attack or defend. I won't bother trying to explain it, in fact, but I did all that. Every town I visited that had Orlog, I went to that person and beat them, whooped their ass.
Champion.
Yes, so that was definitely good fun. I enjoyed that. It's not as egregious as what Gwent was, where it was like 2 million cards to collect. Like there's about a dozen or so it's not too bad. That was cool though. Just kind of every town you go to, I was like, oh, it's an Orlog. Let's go and whoop some ass. I gave up on the drinking game after about 3 towns. I was like, I ain't doing that anymore.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I remember, like sort of side activities you can do.
Yeah, there's tons.
What was the rat battle type thing?
Yeah, the flighting.
That's called now. Flighting.
Yeah, the flighting's good to do actually, because A, it's quite fun. Like you do those little like rhyming and rap battles. But B, it actually, if you win, it increases your charisma rating, which unlocks new dialogue options. So I love all that shit. So any chance I can be unlocking new dialogue options, I made sure I found out the flighters as well and beat them, because I enjoy being able to sort of diffuse situations with a bit of charisma.
Bit of charisma and wit.
Yes.
Excellent. What question? Clear down merchants. Plenty for the clear down merchants. Did you pretty much clear down all these coloured dots I've been looking at?
I haven't got anywhere close, mate. I've still got about 3/4 of them.
Fucking million.
And I've done a lot of them. There is so much stuff to do on like the side activity stuff. First of all, you've got this settlement that you're in, Ravenfall.
Yeah.
Now, and one side activity or quest is building the settlement up. So that's collecting materials. The best way to do that, and perhaps actually the only way to level it up, is to raid the monasteries and get the raw materials. So there's about, say, 8 to 10 of those located around the map, maybe more, that you can go and raid, and then you can use those materials to build up your settlement. That will unlock new buildings, which unlock new quests, which are quite cool. Like people that set up new shops in there, you'll do like little side quests for them. So it's worthwhile getting involved and talking to people there. You can unlock things like your barracks, which means you can select who goes in your raiding party on your boat, and that's good. You can pick people up in the world to join the raiding party, so you can then put them in your crew. That's quite cool. The thing, and this is the theme of the game really, that where it kind of trips over itself, is because it's so big. And look, I'm not going to be able to get to everything about what this game is in it, because it's just ginormous. Where it's so big, it's just needs, some of these systems just need drilling down in a little bit more to get a bit more depth to them. Like this, the raiding party you take out. Now you can recruit people to come in. Like when you set your barracks up, Adkins, I can then recruit one of yours, and you'll get a little achievement. So you can come along into my world, which is cool. But you can get random ones throughout the world, and there's quest-driven ones as well. Now, you can put them in your longboat, you go out, you raid, you get the bits, they run around with you, they kill people, you're like, oh, that's cool, there's Bjorn or whatever, he's running around having the time. He's look at him slaughtering that Saxon, he's loving it, he's like, what a guy. And then, what I would have preferred is your raiding party all has stats. Like, so Bjorn has, I don't know, overall 90, for example. And actually what you do is you improve your raiding party people, your members, to make them stronger, meaning you can do stronger raids. And then the real kicker they could have done was put permadeath in there. So if you're taking your party out to a high level raid where maybe you're not quite up to the challenge, you could lose Bjorn. And he's gone for good. Bjorn. So... Cool. But this is not the game for that. Assassin's Creed, unfortunately, isn't. It has all these great ideas, and it just sometimes it stumbles upon stuff that could be really cool if they just went a bit deeper into it. But because it's got a million things to do, it just sort of dabbles in it and leaves it. And it's always one of the things that keep me up at night about this Black Flag. Like, what if that was just a pirate game? What if
Yeah.
it wasn't a Creed game where you had to do a million things as well as be a pirate game? I mean,
That would have been.
it's the same here. Like, you could make a really good Viking game if you just trimmed this down, took away all the
Trim the
Assassin's Creed fat, and delved into a few of the systems, slimmed down the story arcs, made them a bit more dynamic, and then you're laughing. But because it's got to have everything else in it, there's just not enough time for it. Like, there's still like a cult to hunt down and kill. There's a fucking about 30 of those to go and get rid of. They're not called a cult, it's called the Order, but you got to go and get all those. Then you've got the mysteries, which are all like the little blue dots. You've got world events, which are cool. World events are cool. They're like little micro quests. They can last anywhere between like a minute and 10 minutes. You meet someone, there's a problem, you solve it, you move on. Sometimes you get a choice to make. It's funny because I went to a town, there was someone talking, yabbering on, going, "Oh, my husband's not come back, he's gone fishing or whatever." I was like, what are they fucking talking about? Kept doing it in this town. Anyway, later on when I'm actually looking for these world events, I stumble across one, and it's the fucking husband from the town up the road. I was like, that's quite cool. So you got them. They're worthwhile seeking out. Some are good.
Yeah.
Some are pretty shit, but they're short, and they'll get you some easy XP. Not that you really need it. Legendary beasts. They're quite tough. You can go and hunt those down. Anomaly puzzles, which are like jumping puzzles.
I thought that when I first come across one of them, I thought it was a glitch.
Yeah,
or like
no.
a bug. A tree was going mental, and I was like, "Oh,
And
look at that!"
That's like current world stuff as well. So I believe that's sort of the last thing I'm wanting to do, because there's something to do with finishing that bit off, but they're not easy to find. Stone balancing puzzles, so you can balance fucking rocks up. Hallucination combat encounters, so you take some mushrooms and then it like spawns a load of random enemies for you to kill.
Drug abuse.
Yeah, lost Vikings to battle. So these other ones called Daughter of Leron. There's tons of stuff. That's not even mentioning things like the collectible stuff, the Roman artifacts, the flying papers, the treasure maps, the cursed areas, the secret entrances, the fucking caves that you can go. Like, God almighty.
There is a fucking absolute plethora of not toilet, but
some of it is
endless. There is bloat, isn't there?
It's Bloatville, USA. It is, absolutely. I guess the one thing I had to kind of accept was that that's kind of what it is. It's like, it's like a JRPG. Those things are fucking a ton hours long. And now that I kind of know that, I'm going to have a much easier time deciding when to play them. This has been fortunate that it came out day and date of the Series X. I don't regret buying it at all, but I was able to spend a lot of time in it. But now going forward, if I want to get the most out of it, I just got to know that I've got to commit a lot of time to it, because I can't see them slowing down. Like, they want to seem to go bigger and better and whatnot. And like, we mentioned the gear collecting. There's wealth that you can collect, which is like resources to upgrade your armor and your weapons. All of those have, well, not all of them, most of them have like a level of puzzle solving to get to. It's not the hardest, but it keeps you thinking like throughout, so you're never kind of like bored collecting those. And there's a surprising amount of like world building as well. I was wandering around Adrian's Wall the other day, just sort of having I was wandering across that, and I was like, let's have a look, see what's going on here. Just found a few notes, and it was like, it's quite a sad little tale that they depicted in these notes about the guys that were promised to be posted there and build the wall and build the fort, and it was going to be all green land, and obviously because it's up north, it's a fucking snow hellhole, and in that day and age, the snow kills you, the cold. And then there was like another note just saying, if you see a Pict, which is like a Scottishman or a Norse, like, take them in as friends because we're all battling against the cold. That's our real enemy. And I was like, trying to bring them all together in this horrible. But I just picked up these random notes and was reading them, and I was like, they've done a surprising amount of actually like world building, which in most cases I wouldn't have bothered picking it up. But because I made myself give Valhalla a bit more time than I normally would, I realised that actually under the surface of it, they do quite a lot of it. But the damn thing's too big.
It is for its own good.
Yeah.
Because, that's what I found from playing that the world does feel alive. Its towns are populated, and like you say, there's lore in every fucking
crevice,
little crevice you can come across. So it is a gorgeous... That's one thing I spoke about, the technicalities of the game. Performance, but there was a lot of rumours of bugs when it first came out, bug-ridden.
Yeah,
well,
I think
compared to Cyberpunk, I'm sure it's going to be right.
It definitely had bugs, but nothing. Right. I had nothing too terrible. The most frustrating one was not being able to recruit someone onto my Viking ship. Like I'd put him in there, he'd stay, and then when I'd like move town, he would disappear and put someone else randomly, and that really annoyed me. One of the new ones that I've had since the latest patch was every time I reload a save, I'm drunk. Ava is drunk and stumbling around for about 20 seconds, so that ain't ideal because it's just an annoyance. So there's definitely been bugs in it, but they're more sort of open world, like quite funny-ish, like quite forgivable. Not like, oh god, the textures don't load, and oh god, that person hasn't got a face, or people in T-poses. Like they're quite. I feel like they're quite minor. They kind of come with the territory with a big open world game. One of the controversial things they've done, I will shut up in a minute, was in the last patch they snuck in XP boosters.
Cool.
Now level gating from Odyssey.
Yeah. See, this is the good thing. Has this got level gain?
No. Well, there are levels to each mission, quest, whatever you want to call it, and to each area. If you are within 40 of the level, that's quite normal. Like it comes up as it's not red anymore. Like it's like acceptable. If you go like 20 above it, it goes green, which means it's easier. So from that perspective, you have to trick fucking Rodney into saying, I can do this because it's not red.
No.
But in all honesty, they've either balanced the game better than Odyssey by a mile, or the game tricked me into unintentionally grinding, and I was doing stuff that was getting me XP whilst getting the job done, and I was never underleveled until the very sort of bitter end of the game, where you kind of towards the end it jumps up at the last sort of zone, and I was about I think I was about 50 short. So I got to within 30, which didn't take long because you get 2 level points per level up, and I was fine. So I didn't need to get to the actual number in the end. I could just get through it. So it's definitely not as egregious. The fact they've put the booster in suggests that it is a bit of naughtiness. But I would say by naturally playing the game, for 95% of it, I was above level in most cases. Right. I was above throughout the whole thing, until it chucks whatever your way, like the end game bits, and then it's like I was a bit low. But you can level up pretty quickly. The each level doesn't seem like each XP level requirement goes up with each level. So say it's 10,000. I don't know if it is or not, but it's always 10,000. So you don't. What I found in Odyssey is that it wasn't like that. It felt like they raised each time, and then quests small side quests I'd left, then I'd go back to were worth a pittance still, because everything had moved on. Whereas in this one, it's going to be 500 whether you're doing it at the start of the game or at the end of the game, and it doesn't matter because your leveling requirements don't change. So, they've put it in there. It shouldn't be in there, but I think it's not a problem for most players.
No.
Unless you really breakneck it, maybe it will be.
I was going to say, yeah, breakneck merchants might come to a struggle, but with these sort of open games, they need to be explored fully. Have a little go on everything. You shouldn't be rushing through them anyway.
The trouble is, people ain't got 100 hours, Adkins, so I can see why people do rush through. And it's a curse, really, to have a game that big. But what I've sort of said with Valhalla is that they added a new Yule event over Christmas, which is basically Christmas. And that unlocked 2 quests and bits and pieces. I think every time they do something like that, I'll probably dive back into the game. It'll be almost like a game as a service for me. I'll just dive back in when there's something new. When the DLC arrives, I'll play that. I'll get that. I'll fully commit to the end of whatever Valhalla is. Whether that's it could be another 3 bits of story DLC. And I'm kind of up for doing that now. I've put this much into it, so
commitment. Yeah, it's certainly the most you've ever put into in a Creed game.
Oh yeah, by a mile. It's over double what I put into Odyssey, and I was sick of Odyssey at the end of it. I was sick of it. I was really done with it. I couldn't be bothered. Whereas this, I just never felt like that. Not once. No. The other day, yesterday I did feel like that, but I was drilled. So, but then I play it today, and I fucking only play it for about only another 2 hours. I was loving it. Yeah. And all I'm doing is going to these mysteries, and seeing what's there.
Just seeing what's there. Really. Like you say, it's a real easy play.
Yes.
And a solid entry from the UB boys.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will not finish it because of the length, which is fine.
Yeah.
If you only buy one game a year. You could buy this and it will last you. It will last. There's that to think about for sure. But it's not. Now, go on.
Do you want to see this continue, or would you like another change? Bigger and better is the way, or change it up or maybe go back to the 15-20 hour campaigns?
I don't know. Were they ever that short?
I don't know. Let me have a look.
Have a look, because
I know that. Right, I just looked a minute ago. On this website, I use this a little bit. This how long to beat, and it gives you a rough estimate.
Yeah, polls people's times, isn't it?
Polls people's times. Yeah. So you've got on here. This is one. Really? Did it tell how many people do it in total? 1,500 people. 3,400 people. Sorry, have submitted their things. As an average on Odyssey, the main campaign was 42 hours long.
Liars.
Right.
Got the XP boosters on the fucking go.
Yeah. Valhalla, 52 hours. So you've got a 10-hour increase. Now, if we go back to Syndicate, when was that? Syndicate, 18 hours.
Wow.
Assassin's Creed 3. Oh, if I could spell.
That felt like 20 hours, 30 hours, Assassin's Creed 3. I didn't enjoy that one.
Arse, Ins, Creed. Right. Why are you saying no, it doesn't exist? That's lies, isn't it? That's how you spell a Oh no, that's too many S's, that's why. There we go. Right, here we go. I've got the lot of them.
Yep.
OG, 15 hours long.
Wow.
Origins, 30 hours long.
Cool, yeah.
Black Flag, 23 hours.
That was a beast, yeah.
Assassin's Creed 2, 19 hours.
Sloppy from Ezio.
Brotherhood, 15 and a half hours. Cool.
I think the answer to the question is there's a happy medium somewhere.
Yeah.
between all that.
See, I like this change. I do like this change. I think it's the right. Like, I get that they wanted to make it more like Witcher 3. I mean, any people making an RPG would think, yeah, that was the perfect RPG. Let's make a game like that. But then you're sitting there and you're going, right, now that's 3 games in 3 years they've tried to turn into The Witcher 3. Do we get to 2021 Assassin's Creed and go, right, we're going to make this like Witcher 3 again?
Well, I think this is the closest they've got. It's not on that sort of level. I mean, Witcher 3 is a huge game as well, and I think back. But I think you don't want it much bigger than this. I think they kind of hit the limit. There's definitely, I prefer a smaller game, if I'm honest. Like, as much as I enjoyed diving into this, it's still an absurd amount of time that most people don't have. So it's definitely got to be something better in there, the way they've done it. But, I've enjoyed this one. I didn't really like Origins and Odyssey that much. This was a huge step up, in my opinion. And it's not without its faults. You just got to be aware that it's a big, big boy. And it will require a lot of time if you want to see it through. Like, as a completionist, it's like my worst nightmare. I like to see the stories through to the end. I like to see the credits roll. And this
really does fuck me off when games do this, when they stick fucking credit rolls behind end game stuff. I don't think this has got any credits.
Oh, is it not? No, I don't think Odyssey did either, from what I remember.
No, neither.
They chucked it in the bin for that one, but it's all it's definitely. I wouldn't mind this every now and again. I mean, I don't think they've been doing them yearly, have they? They've been doing them every other year. So
of course, yes.
It feels less egregious, in all honesty. Like,
that's true.
If they're going to be that big, I guess it gives you. I could play it all this year, then not play it for a year, and then dive into the next one. I guess is kind of what they're thinking. Like, the DLC, I imagine, will run until late this year, and then I'll have like 12 months, 10 months off. So
that's quite a good way of doing it, really.
I know, it's still a bit. It's still Creed at the end of the day, but it's one of my personal favourite ones, and of this new breed, it's the best of the 3, I think, personally.
So is this a final impressions, or is this a review?
No, this is I get to put my thumb somewhere.
So there you go. Where will you stick those thumbs? Or a thumb? You decide. What is your official score for Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
It's an easy 1 thumb up.
One.
Yeah, it's not. It's still Creed, and still inherits some of the sort of Creed issues that will stop it ever getting a 2, but a vast improvement over Odyssey, just in terms of the gear management, the gear types, and the level gating didn't, to me, feel as egregious at all, really, in all honesty. So that was my sort of 2 main gripes of the last one, and fucking Dust Bowl in it. So not going to be dealing with it.
Gorgeous London. Did you find Wakering or Southend?
He ain't on there. No, the pier's not even there. It's got Colchester, which was annoying.
Oh no!
Fucking, we hate Cole. You. Yeah. So that was a stinker. But there you go. One last thing. This is the sort of things that I like about games like this. I mentioned the horse that you can set the destination. It'll run you there.
Better than Roach.
Better than Roach. And it's also, although I say it's possible to get at the boat, sometimes if you leave it, you'll end up on the shore nearly, because the waypointing isn't always accurate. A couple of times I'd hear this almighty crash, and I'd see the longboat halfway up the halfway up the shore, and I'd be like, oh,
smash that! What?
Yeah. So keep an eye on it. Don't just allow it to do that. But it's still, I love just being hands off and just chucking it 6,000 metres away. Anyway, cool. Took up a lot of time there. Cyberpunk, final impressions. We've had, well, to be fair, you've had a real good crap all over it before.
Now, I can't remember. I think I was about 10 hours in, I think.
Correct. So
once I did impressions.
So 10 hours in, you're now what? You tell me.
I'm just shy of 60.
seen credits roll, seen ending of said Cyberpunk.
Seen 4 endings.
Seen 4 endings, multiple endings. So that
That's
to me,
not playthroughs.
no, that's somewhat concerning, but I'll explain why later. And
Yeah.
hopefully you won't ruin anything, but I'll be careful.
It'll be spoiler free.
All right. So from the 10-hour mark now to the 60-hour mark, has anything changed drastically, either positively or negatively, from when you put a pin in it before the Christmas break and the New Year and that? We did that big podcast, week 1. We're now 2021. Games done and dusted almost in your eyes. We've seen endings.
Yeah.
What's sort of the main movers and shakers, either up or down, or both?
It's difficult. It's a bit of both. I've been impressed with a lot of stuff, but I've also been disappointed in a lot of things as well. It's a real middle of the road. It's the most frustrating game I've ever played because I can see what they were going for, the potential in it.
Right.
I can see that it would have been the fucking perfect game, like exactly what it was, its ambition and that, but it just falls flat, just short. Like, not in the technicality side of it, and just in some of its features in the game that I just feel have been rushed. Like they've rushed it out, even though it feels like it's not been rushed because it's had so many delays and stuff. But yeah, so I'm trying to remember what I said on the first version, and not a great deal had changed. I think there'd only been one more patch since our last chat.
Put feet up in there over Christmas.
Yeah, I think what they've done now is, because I played it on the Series X, which quote unquote from the the Digital Foundry boys are saying it's probably the best console experience you can get in terms of all of them. So, I mean, people that are playing this on the PS4 and Xbox One, I'm just going to go straight away and say this is a 2 thumbs down. Do not buy.
Right, yeah.
So, scrap that. This is only for next-gen users or PC users that this would pay any attention to. Let's just pretend that this is available on those old consoles. This is a next-gen game, is what I'm going to say, which isn't, because it ain't even had its next-gen patch yet. But
could give it out refunds, taking it off the store.
Exactly.
All sorts has kicked
taking
off.
It off. So they've got to be focused on that. So technical side, in performance and stuff, not a great deal has changed. For the most part, I'd probably say pretty high, about 85%, maybe even 90% of the game, performance-wise, was solid.
Yeah.
You know, it ran at 60, it holds up at 60. The game looking like, that's one thing that improved for me. Like, I'm playing it now, and the game just wows me of how good it looks, even on this Series X. I mean, I've not seen a PC with ray tracing in person yet, but
no,
I will be intrigued, because even this, I'm just like, I've never taken so many screenshots in a game.
Bloody hell.
Honestly, I've taken over 200, I think, in this.
That's Ghost of Tsushima getting beaten out.
Exactly, yeah, it's more than Ghost of Tsushima, because just everywhere, the lighting in this game is just so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bugs are still there, and they took me out of the immersion so much.
Right, yeah.
Like, there was nights where they seem to be more egregious than others. I don't know why. Like,
Gaming gods, mate. They were bored. They thought, where's Adkins?
Indeed.
Let's fuck about with him again.
Clarky had the same thing. He said that one night he'd be playing it, it'd be fine, and then the next night I'd have so much. The amount of times I had to reload to finish missions, I had to revert to an old save. That was the fucking killer for me. That really did. Overlapping dialogue, that was a huge one. There's lots of like floating clipping bugging thing, like little bugs, which they're annoying, but
that's standard open world. You give it the pass, don't you?
Open Toad. But when you, like I say, there was a bit where I like fell off something and it just like I'd jump onto a fucking ledge and it would kill me as a bug, but it would then save as I died. And then it would just reload me back into dying, so I'd be in a continuous loop of dying. So I had to revert to previous saves, and that was a fucking gut wrencher. But it's such a shame because it does take you out of this. But this world is fucking incredible. Like when it's working and playing this game, when it's working and you're not being taken out of the immersion by bugs. The story is very good. The characters are brilliant. The choices you can do, these are phenomenal. If this game was working as and how it should, I think this would be spoken about up in the heights of the likes of like Witcher 3.
Right.
And, maybe even not narratively as good as something like Last of Us, but that upper echelon, as we were saying, it is a top tier, but the technical side of it takes you out of it so much. Not only that, there are mechanics in the game that just seem like they've been forgotten about. Like it's simple little like what they call it, quality of life features.
Yes.
That's the word I'm thinking of. So, like you mentioned it in the first impressions, that you can customize your character at the beginning, but that's it. Throughout the game, you can't change your look whatsoever. Like that little thing could be patched down the line. That's something they might add in. Did they do that with Witcher?
I mean, they added hair and stuff that you could add to Geralt. Right. Yeah, I don't think it was there day one, from what I remember. No. I think the beards might have been because they grew over time. But
have
a shave.
So something like that. Now, you were just talking about how good the sort of gear and stuff was in Valhalla.
Yeah.
How you sort of, stick with something. With this, the whole way through my game, I didn't have a fucking clue. Like, I knew what I looked like, but I didn't care what I looked like because I just looked like a fucking idiot. I'll be running around with a fucking. There's one time I don't know, like Chinese hats with like a big, looks like a big bowl on top of your head.
Not like what the what are they called? What are they called in Tsushima?
Yeah, the I know the Ronins.
Ronins, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, the Ronin hat. That's it. So I was running around with one of them with a fucking like gold jacket on, and then like a pair of joggers with a pair of like military boots, because all of those items were like the best stats.
Yes, yeah.
So it's just completely stats. You can upgrade stuff, but you can only upgrade it to a certain level. Like, it's not capped, but it doesn't cap, but you only get so many resources. Then you've got to go out, and basically it would take so long to upgrade an item that you really wanted to keep, whereas you're going to a small little mission and you'll kill someone, you'll instantly find the gear. Like, the gear will scale to your level, so the next person you shoot would instantly get something better value.
Yes.
Like a higher grade. So you really just think, for the sake of fucking what I look like, I'm first person, so I can't even fucking see myself anyway.
No, they didn't bother doing those cutscenes, did they, outside of first person?
No. So it's all first person. So that fucks me off. The waypoint, the mini map, in this game is possibly the worst fucking mini map I've ever used.
What about Fallen Order Jedi?
Yeah, that was pretty.
Oh, that wasn't a mini map actually. That was just the map. That was just 3D.
Was that 3D? Yeah, that was
me.
Poor actually, especially when you're trying to find collectibles.
Yeah, exactly. What I was doing. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Well, the driving. I think I said the driving was all right in the in the initial impressions. The driving in this is fucking shit. It's so. It's fine if you go about 10, 15 miles an hour. If you go anything faster than that, you go all over the road, and the mini map doesn't catch up to where you're driving.
What?
So at the last second, it will tell you to chuck a right, and you're going so fast that you can't slow down.
Oh, for fuck's
so
sake.
you'll just miss the fucking turning. And honestly, that fucked me off.
That will
so
annoy me,
much.
considering I've just gone from
Yeah.
an auto route horse and boat where I put feet up to
Yeah.
to that happening.
So that fucked me off. What else fucked me off? I think it's this little quality of life things. Can't remember what else. It's little things like that fuck me off the most. And like I say, the bugs, the overlapping in dialogue as well.
Mm-hmm. Hate it.
That was an absolute fucking stinker. But having all said that, like I say, the main story of this is a lot shorter than I thought.
Yeah.
Like the thing with the huge game, and much like The Witcher 3, the side quests in this game seem to sort of outweigh the main quest.
Right, yeah.
Sort of, there's arcs in this game. So like I mentioned how the missions work. So like you become you're like a merc, basically, a mercenary. Takes on these missions.
Yeah, a little fixer call you up and you're like,
fixer call, that's it. So you'll get fucking hundreds of these phones. You get so many people phoning you and giving these little jobs. Like I said, I think there was roughly around 80-ish main side quests. Then you have these things called gigs, which are essentially like those mystery missions where you'd go to a building, clear it out, find something, bring it back.
Yeah.
So they typically last 10 minutes. There's probably about 100 of them.
Fucking hell.
Then as you go through the city, you can choose to help the police, just like if there is like a crime happening, there's someone being mugged or the gangs are starting war or something, you can then interrupt it and help them clear it down, to which you get like more gear and XP and stuff.
Yeah.
There's probably about 150 of them.
Fucking hell. And are they? So they're not dynamic. There'd be certain parts of the map where that's sort of always going on. That fight.
That's just always. Yeah.
Until you intervene and do something.
Until you intervene, yeah. They are clear down though. So like once you've done it, that won't be in that spot anymore. But yeah. They're dynamically happening in the city. As you can choose to ignore them or.
And if you ignore them and go back, will it still be happening?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right. So they don't like move around.
No, they don't move. Nah. There's not. I suppose dynamics really not the word, because they do. That would stop otherwise, wouldn't it? So no, they're pretty much like missions essentially.
Yeah.
But they're made to look like it. But I've got to say yeah, but this is the thing with this game, like the story, the missions, the characters and the world are all phenomenal. The rest's a bag of shit.
Right.
Basically. So there's a real core, like the core gameplay loop in this is brilliant. Like the shooting feels brilliant, like the weight of the guns, the variety of guns you can have, like you can have anything from pistols. There's like the Titanfall smart pistols you can get. You get these mantis blades that everyone's seen, when they come out, they're fucking devastating. You can get fucking katanas, you name it. You can get fucking all different types of weapons, and you can completely change your playthrough. The RPG elements in this game, like the way you can customize your character, I typically went with an all guns blazing, but very hack type. So I used to go into a room, hack my way through the majority of the enemies. Sort of, you can like make their systems like short circuit, or you can set them on fire, make them overheat. I'd do that to as much as I could allow, because like in your head, obviously you're an augmented bloke, like everyone is in this world, so you like run on RAM. So it goes on based on how much RAM you have, is how much hacking you can do. So I'd sort of max that out as much as I could, and then fucking blast my way through, clearing enemies. But some of the missions were just so fun to play. A lot of the main quests had like these sort of almost Uncharted-esque set pieces in them.
Oh.
And they were quite like, wow, yeah. I think I remember saying in the first initial impressions that I hadn't been wowed. And then there was like a couple of missions like in the story that I was like, wow, now that was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
It took because I never really would have expected that of a first person game. They seem to be more in a cinematic third person game, but it really does do a good job. And yeah, like I say, the story is it's good. It's not, it's not fucking probably not even Witcher levels. I think it's a good story. It's pretty short in length, so it doesn't sort of outstay its welcome. But it's definitely the characters that are the standout thing for this game.
Yeah,
the side quests where you have the arcs with these characters.
Yeah.
That's what makes them. And
it's not dissimilar from The Witcher, to be honest. I think the main story of The Witcher is probably not the highlight, but the side quests that you and the weirdos you bump into kind of add to it. And just on the RPG elements, can you reset your stats at any point and start again if you fucked it, or are you stuck in stone with it? Because on Valhalla, you can reset it any time with no penalty, which is cool. You can just go and rebuild.
I think you can. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. You might be able. I'm just trying to remember how it fucking worked. Obviously, you had skill trees and...
Yeah.
I don't know if you can, to be honest.
No,
because you sort of you have there's fucking hundreds because you do sort of just align it to how you want to play. So it'll be like you have like a skill tree for your body, and then it will have like pistol damage, shotgun damage, brawling damage. That was another shit thing. There's these missions in this game where it's fighting, and it's just like first person fisticuffs. Get rid of them, CD. They're fucking dreadful.
Yeah, same as Valhalla, awful.
Derpiest fucking fighting. Imagine them, but in first person.
Yeah.
They're so fucking stupid and hard and just crap that they're no good. The racing missions as well. Like I say, the driving in this fucking game is dreadful. And then they added racing missions. So the faster you go, you can't even fucking see the turning.
No.
So they're redundant. But no, like I say, the positive thing is the story, the characters, and the main gameplay hook of shooting and the RPG elements, the choices in the game. That's the thing as well. Like, it's obviously an RPG, so choices you make in the game obviously have outcomes. So outcomes through these story arcs will be different to what you've played. I failed a couple of missions, and that's not.
Yeah,
that's not, like me fucking it up. That's just on a decision I've made.
Yeah.
So it's not been a successful mission because that's not what the outcome they wanted. It's just because I fucked it up and went with the wrong choice.
I'm sure I had that in Witcher where I'd make a decision. It might kill someone for another quest, and it would come up and fail it. I'd be like, "What? I haven't done anything." Or it's hard with those bits because immediately you think like you've fucked it up. But if you kind of roll with it, it's quite good actually, because it kind of makes your playthrough unique. Yeah,
it really is good. But the world is a character in its own in this game. Like, it is a fucking gorgeous world. This is like, it really does feel like a living, breathing world. The amount of hours I just spent walking around, mainly the red light district.
Yeah, of course. Have a little gander.
Having a gander, mainly with the men.
Look but don't touch. We heard about that escapade.
So you can sleep with prostitutes, you can go to brothels and things, and you're greeted with numerous cutscenes, quite graphical, mind-altering, scorned on my brain that I'll never be able to get out. I've sworn to people it was an accident that I slept with a man.
So what was it you said that you asked for? You went to shop with him.
So you get these, they're called joy toys, and they're essentially prostitutes. And I just dynamically walked up to one, and he said, "Are you looking for a good time?" And it came up with shop. But thinking about it now, when I went back to young Joy Toy, he it didn't have this option. So I think mine may have glitched out, and there's a shop next door, and I think it must have glitched out. So I saw the word glitch. This is not an excuse. This definitely happened. And I pressed yes to the shop, but it just instantly went into me saying yes to having sex with him and went straight into a cutscene, which was me bending him over. I received a blowjob and then full sex with a man. Honestly, it's hilarious. But it's so funny. Like,
did you embrace that part of V's character after that, or
I did think that, well, that's the road I've gone down, and it is a road you can go down.
Yeah.
There was multiple times I would be on quests with male characters.
You're propositioned.
And I had the opposition to propose, and there was even one I could lean in for a kiss, and I thought, well, come on, V, you've already been down this road. You might as well go the full hog.
I think his dad was a bit homophobic, so he's still scarred from that, and like he's got like these horrible memories of his nasty dad. I think that's the character of V that you've taken.
That's what I took in the end.
He's still very much struggling to come to terms with things, and he's nasty bastard dad.
Yeah,
left him with some scarring.
Bastard. But no, it's an incredible game. I haven't even mentioned Keanu. Keanu plays. I suppose he's sort of a lead role. He's a character that's in your head, is sort of part of you, and I won't go into spoiler specifics of the story or anything, but he's there throughout. But he's just such a cool character.
Yeah.
You just really like you do missions which entail him, and you sort of there's so much lore in this game, like literally even more than Valhalla. Everywhere you fucking look, there are data pads that you can find out lore. Honestly, mate, if you're one of these people that reads everything, I feel sorry for you, because you're going to be there for fucking years.
I'm going to have to.
Yeah. The music in this game is incredible. Like with the setting, the radio stations. This game is so much more like GTA 5 than I anticipated.
I've heard that a few times being chucked out there.
Those first 10 hours, it didn't feel like it, because you're sort of almost locked down. Well, you are locked down. You're in lockdown to one area straight away.
Yeah.
And then when it opens up, that it does just. When you're in the open worldness, it felt like a first person. Well, I suppose GTA 5, when you put it in first person mode, you can do that, can't you? But yeah, it just has the potential. It could have been the fucking perfect RPG that we all thought it was going to be, but it just falls flat, unfortunately. You get a sour taste in your mouth from playing it this early. I'll be interested to see.
So did Joy Boy when he went and he got a sour taste.
Exactly. How it will taste after you if you do wait until this next gen patch, when you may not get any of these bug problems I've had that being taken out of the immersion. They may have patched things in where you can change your appearance or updated the
first DLC
driving.
packs arrived.
Yeah, that's it. They've already said they're going to include free DLC.
Lets you auto level up your gear. Lovely jubbly, thank you.
That's it. Anything like that. It is literally just quality of life improvements. There's a Reddit thread, and it's sort of all the things that we wish to include. And it's not things that are like ridiculously asked, like, change the story or include. It's little things that you think could be added, like that.
Yeah.
A little change to the mini map or whatnot, and the technical things, the technical bugs, they're going to be ironed out. They're not too much of a problem. As much as they've taken me out of the experience now, and they're shit, I know in 6 months they'll all be gone, or for the most part, most of them will be, and you will be left with the good that I thought this game, that the impressive campaign, the incredible side quests, the brilliant characters, the RPG elements, but it's just these quality of life improvements that made it frustrating.
Yeah.
And the technical side, which is still, we're a month after release now.
Yeah, over that, yeah.
Something like that. over that now, and it's still not up to scratch.
Fucking chuck away
it's a shame.
merchants.
Yeah, it is, and I think we were talking about it, weren't we, saying that if I do feel this could be the new No Man's Sky, where it's still being fucking shit on every day on the internet. You look on there's now lawsuits going on. It's being sued, fucking God knows. I do feel sorry for him in a sense, in that it seems to be a bit of a dog pile, but at the same time I sort of think, well, you did release a fucking game that's half baked, and you try to cover it up as much as you could.
Yeah.
You sort of deserve this. So I feel like, no, you shouldn't be let off the hook. But
well, where does that leave us in terms of thumbs up and down and all this jazz?
Based on my experience playing it on an Xbox Series X, 4K on this glorious OLED, I'd give it a 1 thumbs up.
Okay.
Over my overall experience, yes, there were bugs, and I was annoyed at segments of the game, but the core powerful experience, I thought there was a lot of good in this game.
Yeah.
That does overall outshine the shitness, but that shitness shouldn't be there. And for the majority of people, you think, that haven't got these next gen consoles and they're wanting to play it on a PS4, Xbox. Even an Xbox One X or a PS4 Pro, they're still running pretty toilet.
Right.
So with that, I can't give that a thumb. That cannot have a thumb.
But if you've got a next gen, or you've got a current gen, I should say, or a PC.
Yeah. If you've got a PC, you're fucking laughing because, the bugs are still there and the annoyance. The thing is, they're starting, the modding community have already started.
Yeah.
So I'm actually quite interested to see what they do with, because like that mini map, that could be modded next week.
Yeah.
But so I could recommend it to PC users and next gen characters, but then you got a next gen fucking console and you ain't even got a next gen version. So
no.
It's like I say, this is the most frustrating fucking game ever because I see the potential, I can feel it, but it just.
Yeah. So is it advised to wait if you can?
Yeah, I would.
Still,
having completed it and played it, it's good because I'm wanting to go I'm going to try and platinum it essentially, even though I'm playing on Xbox, get the 100%, and that requires to get a couple more endings. Well, to do that, I will need to start fresh with a new character because there's some decisions you have to make.
Okay, yeah.
To get to that point in the story, which I missed out on. So I'm going to have to start a new character, which is always the way I did. I've only done one of the life paths.
Yes.
So you have 3 choices at the beginning of the game. So I was always going to do the 3 anyway, but now I've gone through that. I've done all the sides. I've got to the max street cred you can. I haven't completed these gigs. Like I say, they're literally the small, tiny missions.
Yeah.
That's stuff I'll probably nitpick every time there's an update. I'll come back and do a few just to see how it's running. And then when this next gen patch will come in, that's when I'll start afresh and see what it's like. But no, this is based on my experience of this 60-hour playthrough, which I essentially have done the majority of it, and that's
crufts.
Yeah, that's crufts, and it's just I think this game has suffered from hype a lot, like No Man's Sky did.
Yeah,
but much like that, on day one we was all sitting there with thumb up asses going, right, what do we do now? This fucking barren wasteland where all that shit he promised to stay near. Well, it's a bit like this, we got like this fucking huge open world, and you've got fucking quests being fucking blocked and invisible walls I kept fucking running into, and my gun's locking. I couldn't shoot a fucking gun at one time, and then fucking saves having to be reverted 20 times through a campaign. What's that about? Fucking sort of shit. So I just hope it doesn't go down the same route as No Man's Sky, whereas people just are done with it by the time it's sorted and think, all right, how many people, like, No Man's Sky is probably brilliant right now, but how many people have gone back to that and gone, Nah, you've had your chance.
Yeah, that's what happens. Unfortunately, you can't keep giving things second chances. You've got to make the time for it. So it's always a tough ask. I'm going to try and hold off. I think. Well, it doesn't make any sense not to.
The trouble is because I think this game would be so up your alley. Like this would be your perfect game. I think you would sink probably more hours into this than you have Valhalla. But I think you're like me, you'd get so fucking riled up with all the
yeah.
It would fuck you off, and you wouldn't bin it. You're not so bin a lot like Biff would 1,000,000% have been this straight on that campaign. He wouldn't have got through the first 20 hours, I don't think. If he's having to reset saves and that would have fucked him off too much, and rightly so. But yeah, I think you will definitely benefit from waiting and doing what I did with Days Gone. And then sinking your teeth in, because I think this game is an apps game, but it's just not a ready apps game.
Sweet. Well, there you go. I think that's it. Valhalla and Cyberpunk 2077 done. One definitely one of the big bloaters from last year.
This didn't really feel like a bloater, to be fair.
No.
Like I say, I've pretty much done the bulk of it, and that's 60 hours. I reckon probably 80 would be 100% completion, I reckon. So, all right, maybe that's bigger than most games, but certainly not. It didn't feel like a bloat. Like, I seemed to blast through that 60 hours pretty quick, and throughout wasn't sort of like, oh, this is dragging.
Yeah.
So no bloat here, really.
No, well, that's good to hear, because I ain't got another 110 hours to spend later on down the. Although by the time the DLC comes out, it might be 110 hours. Who knows? CD Projekt Red, known for their meaty DLC. Anyway, look, we'll call this fucking podcast to a close before we get on to another bloater. But as usual, thanks for joining me. Everyone else, thanks for listening. If you got this far, and if you stumbled across us, subscribe, and then you ain't got to be worrying about missing any more episodes. Loads of shit going on an Idle Game Chat every Monday. We will put something into your podcast feed for you to listen to. Nothing more for us to say apart from thanks for your time.
And ta-da.
And ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.